Hello, this is Shar from The Real Kitchen for Real People, and I trust that everyone is doing well and staying out of the heat. Drink plenty of water. That's very important this time of year for sure. Today we're going to feature old-fashioned fried apple pies. Now this is a recipe that my mom used to make that she got from her mother, and it was mouth-watering. Everybody would always just be waiting in line to get their share of those fried pies. And with this one today, I'm just going to use apples. Now you can use peaches or apricots or raisin or whatever you want to use as a fruit, but these make the best fried pies ever. And it's always something that if you want to leave a memory to your grandkids or kids, making these and having them make them with you is something that they'll never forget. So without further ado, let's get started on this delicious dessert. Okay, first you're going to have a saucepan, and we're going to cut up our apples in thin slices, and we're going to add it to the saucepan. So of course you want to wash your apples and peel them. Peel the outside off of your apples. Peel them. And then you just want to cut them up in your saucepan. About that thick. And do that until you cut up all 3 apples. Okay, I have all 3 apples cut up in my saucepan. And what you're going to do now is add a half a cup of sugar and a half a cup of water and 1 tablespoon of fresh lemon juice to the saucepan. Now you can use any type of apples that you like. I used the golden apples because that's what I had at home. So I use what I have. But you can use whatever apples you want to use, because there's so many different kinds out there. Okay, I've added my sugar. I've added my water. And now I'm going to add a tablespoon of fresh lemon juice. Now give it a nice stir. And then what you're going to do is put these on the stove and on the top stove and cook on medium until your apples are soft. So that'll be, I would say, 40 minutes to an hour on medium. Just check them, because it just depends on how many apples you use and what size your apples are. So just check them after 45 minutes to see if they're tender. Okay, while my apples are cooking, I'm going to make my pastry dough, and I have the link below, but I'm going to show you anyway. I have a cup and a half of sifted flour. Cup and a half of sifted flour. And we're going to sift this flour with a dash of salt Okay. So now we're going to sift the flour into this bowl here. And I'm using my mom's old sifter. It's pretty used, as you can see, but it does the job. So I'm going to sift this. Okay, now I want to use half a cup of shortening, or you can use these butter sticks. Like I like this butter stick. So I'll use 1/2 of the stick in my flour. Just toss it in there. And like I said, this recipe is on my channel listed below. And also, for your convenience, I will list the pie crust pastry link. And it's also, all of this is in my cookbook as well. The Real Kitchen for Real People. Okay, so what we're going to do here is crumble this up. Okay, before you start your crumbling, I want to have you put some ice cubes in a cup and fill it up with water and let it set aside until you get through crumbling. Like this. So I'm going to set that aside so it'll get nice and chill while I crumble. Okay, begin your crumbling. You want to mash this, shorten it up into your flour until it gets crumbly. So you just keep mashing it and moving it around until it get a crumble consistency. You can see how it's changing, but I like to use a fork. Some people use the pastry cutter, but I'm used to using a fork. I'm just doing it like I was taught. So this is an old-fashioned way before they had such tools. So just do that until it gets totally incorporated in all the flour. Okay, once it's in this crumble consistency like this, my mom would always add like a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. So I'm going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg and 1 teaspoon of sugar. Now mix that up in there. She always would say this will give your crust a little better flavor so it won't be so bland. And this recipe is also just the regular pie crust recipe, so you can use this recipe for all your pies. It really makes a difference when you make your own crust, believe me. Try it. You will be able to tell. And this is so simple. Okay, now you have all this incorporated. You're going to add 1/3 cup of that chilled water, and it must be chilled with ice. So you don't add the ice, you just add the chilled water. Okay, so we're going to add 1/3 cup of chilled water. 1/3 of the chilled water. And now stir that all up in there till you make a ball. It'll form a ball. See how it's forming? And so keep stirring it till it forms a ball. Okay, here's how your dough will be. See, it's a ball. So simple. Get all of those goodies out of it, and then you kind of pat it together to make your ball, like that. Okay. Okay, we're going to set that aside and check on my apples. Okay, now my apples are soft. I can stick a fork in them. So what I want to do is put a tablespoon of butter, a teaspoon of cinnamon, a half a teaspoon of nutmeg, and a teaspoon of vanilla. And I'll have this recipe below, so don't worry about it if you missed that. Okay, I've added all of that, and I'm going to just stir it up in here. Let's make a stir. Just lightly stir, because you don't want to break up your apples. Just, you know, just lightly stir with a fork. And you can use, for sugar, you can use Splenda if you don't want to use regular sugar. So you can substitute items that accommodate your diet plan. So let's turn this on low, and I'm gonna let that simmer a little, about 5 minutes. Okay, it's been 5 minutes, so turn it off and let it rest while you prepare your dough. Okay, now back at the dough, we finna roll our ball out. So you want to sprinkle your flour on either a pastry sheet, or either clean your counter real good and do it on your counter. So we want to kind of mash this out, because what we're going to have is try to cut it into 5-inch rounds. So I'm going to roll this out first, and then I'll show you. So you can take your rolling pin and roll it out, and I'll show you how thick. I'm not sure of the thickness, but I'll show you on how it should look. So you're going to kind of pat it down, so make sure it don't stick. Put plenty flour on the bottom. Okay, flour your rolling pin, and just roll it out. And you want it kind of thin, because you don't want it, you don't want your crust to be on a fried pie too thick. So I'll roll this out to about to the edge of that. Let's see what we got. Okay, about like that. See that edge? Right here, about that thick. Okay. Now I'm going to use this bowl as my cutter, because that's about what size I want. Of course, you can make any size you want, but I'm using the bowl like my mom did. So I'm going to sprinkle just a little more flour on the top of this crust. And kind of put a little flour around your cutter, or whatever type of cutter you're going to use. These won't be real big, but about that size is where, like a cereal bowl is what I'm using for to cut. So I'll take this and just squeeze it and lightly twist, and there you go. So I don't know if you use whatever bowl you want. You want a smaller bowl, you want a larger bowl, or if you already have cutters, that's great. But this is where Mom used to make them, so that's what I'm showing you. So I have a bowl this size, like I said. You flour your pastry crust, and then kind of flour around the edges of your bowl or cutter. and then just cut them out. So I'll cut them all out and be back. Okay, I've cut 4 of them out, and I'll show you the complete process with the 4, because you have some extra dough over here that you can make probably 2 more. So this probably will be like 6 fried pies using this crust and apple filling. So I'll show you what's next. Okay, now you want to take your filling and kind of just mash it lightly. Mash your apples lightly. Now if you prefer them all smashed, that's fine. Or you can prefer them kind of lumpy. That's fine. So that's about how I like them, about like that. Not real lumpy, but just some of them left. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take 2 tablespoons and put it in one of the pie crust. Since these are smaller, I'm going to just do 1 tablespoon, and you put it to the side. One full tablespoon. Depending on your size of your crust, you can add, more. But just put it, place it not on the edge, but on one side of the crust, okay? Add a little more to this side. Kind of eyeball it, but that's what it'll look. Okay, and then I'm going to fold them over and press them down with a little water, and I'll show you that. Okay, this is how they will look once you fold them over. Now sometimes you have your filling come out, so just kind of push it back in there with a fork, and then what you're gonna do is take your fingers and dap them in some water and mash them together. So that your flour will stick. And if it comes out, that's okay. You can clean that up. So you can clean that up. Okay. Okay, with that same fork, you want to mash around. This will, when you get ready to fry them, it'll keep it from your filling coming all out. And then you can clean the edges up like that. I'll do another one. Just kind of push that back in there with your fork, and then take your wet fingers and push it down around the edges. I might have put a little too much filling, but I like filling. Okay, and then we're going to take your fork and just close it up. And clean this out from around your pie. Set it aside because you can still use that. That's still good. Okay. And you do all of them like that. and place them in a platter. And I'll tell you what's next. Okay, I finished folding them and closing them. So now I'm getting ready to fry them. In the meantime, I'm gonna heat up my oil in the skillet. These are skillet fried, not deep fried. Skillet fried is the way she made them. So I'm gonna put these in the refrigerator for a few minutes while I get my hot oil going. Okay, I'm gonna turn on my skillet. I have a cast iron skillet, which is what she used. Turn it on medium heat and put my oil. I think it's probably about a half a cup of oil. Let that heat up and I'll show you what's next. Okay, now my oil is heated. It took about 6 minutes, 6-7 minutes. So I'm gonna drop my my pies into the oil. So you can get some type of spoon or whatever to lay them in there. Now when you lay them in there, you're gonna only turn them once. So we're gonna brown them on side and then turn them over and then let them drain. So, just kind of. And we're gonna let that brown on one side, and then we'll turn them and brown the other side. These are so simple, and you can be real creative with them. Make them whatever size you want, even smaller if you want, just bite size, and any flavor. So they are really fun to make. And this recipe is probably make 4 to 6, depending, like I say, on your size. So we're gonna let those brown, and then we'll turn them over. I turned them over. See how pretty they are? And they not only pretty, they are delicious. Now, if you get some filling that comes out, don't get alarmed. Just move on. It's no big deal. So that's the way my mom and grandmother made their fried pies, in a skillet, cast iron skillet, and they made it with homemade dough. Now if you don't want to use homemade dough, you can use the store-bought dough as well, whatever works for you. But I just use what I have here at home. I don't have to go out and buy dough or whatever. I just try to use what I have. So these are ready. See, the bottom of them is brown. It's ready. So I'm going to take these out and drain them on the paper towel. Isn't that beautiful? Okay, so I'm going to set that over there. So they can drain. And that's a perfect size to me. And you can serve them with ice cream. Put a scoop of ice cream on the top, vanilla. Okay, and you just do all of them like that. And you'll have your perfect fried pies. I'll show you. Perfect, perfect. So if you like this recipe, Be sure to thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, you want to do that as well. Join the Real Kitchen for Real People family. And get all of these recipes automatically sent to you by subscribing and hitting that bell. And if you have any comments, let me know what kind of fruit you use in yours. I would love to hear from you. So, without further ado, you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to taste them and see how delicious they are. And I will have Amazon affiliated links below of some of the items that you can purchase online. So let's give this a taste and look inside. Okay, let's check it out. Delicious. Isn't that beautiful? Let's give it a try. That is wonderful. Be sure to comment and give it a try. It is so fun to make and so good. They make great appetizers, a great dessert. So, without further ado, I'll see you next time. Love, love.